If you're a parent, I'm willing to bet you've worried about screen time. It's like one of the biggest challenges of modern life, right? But what if the very screens we're so concerned about could actually be a key to a healthier childhood? It sounds a little wild, I know, but the science behind this idea is exactly what we're going to dive into today. It feels like we're all constantly caught in this tug of war between our kids' digital world and their physical health. Technology is just everywhere. And let's be honest, it's usually seen as part of the problem, the thing that keeps kids on the couch. It's a real dilemma for parents, for teachers, for basically anyone who cares about the next generation. But what if we could just flip that whole script? I mean, really look at it from a completely different angle. What if we could harness the power of those screens? What if, instead of being the villain in this story, they were actually the secret to unlocking a healthier, more active, and way more informed childhood? It's a pretty bold thought, but new research is suggesting it's way more than just a possibility. And we really need to think bold, because the stakes are incredibly high. According to the World Health Organization, a staggering 1 in 3 children in Europe is dealing with being overweight or obese. This isn't just a small issue. It's a full-blown public health crisis, and it's telling us loud and clear that we need new, innovative solutions. So this brings us to a really fascinating turning point. How do we take this thing, this technology that we often see as the enemy, and turn it into a powerful ally in the fight for our kids' health? Well, the hero of this story might be a concept you've heard of, but maybe not quite like this. It's called gamification. And right off the bat, no, this is not about getting kids to play more video games. It's actually something much, much smarter. So what is it really? At its heart, gamification is super simple. It's taking all the stuff that makes games so addictive and engaging, points, challenges, rewards, leveling up, and applying those ideas to real-world things like health and education. And let's be super clear about this because it's important. We are not talking about more mindless screen time. We're talking about transforming health apps and learning tools into experiences that are genuinely motivating and fun. It's all about making healthy choices feel less like a chore and a lot more like a win. And it's pretty cool when you see how it works in practice. I mean, picture an app that gives your kid points for picking an apple over a cookie, or one that unlocks a cool new badge because they finished a 20-minute bike ride. All of a sudden, these healthy habits have this immediate rewarding feedback loop. Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But it brings up the most important question of all. Is there any real, solid evidence that this stuff actually works for kids? Well, a major scientific review recently pulled all the data together, so let's take a look at what they found. And the results are, well, they're pretty compelling. The review looked at 15 different high-quality studies on gamified health apps for kids and teens. And the big headline finding is that a full 80% of these studies showed that gamification had real positive effects. But what does positive effects actually mean here? The research found big improvements in 3 really key areas: kids' knowledge about their health, their motivation to actually make better choices, and their overall attitude towards healthy habits. It's about changing minds to build momentum for changing behaviors. Now, it's also really important to be honest about what the research doesn't show yet. While these apps are fantastic for boosting knowledge and motivation, we need more time and more studies to confirm a direct impact on long-term clinical things, like a child's BMI. The change starts with their attitude and their daily habits. The physical results, hopefully, follow from there. So if 80% of these apps are working, what's their secret? What's the difference between a health game that really engages a kid and one they just find boring and delete after 5 minutes? Well, the research points to a pretty clear recipe for success. And it turns out it's not as simple as just slapping a reader board onto an app and calling a day. Good gamification is all about thoughtful design. It has to be tailored to the specific goal, like eating better or moving more. And most importantly, it has to be designed for the actual kids who are going to use it. When the researchers looked across all the successful studies, they found that 3 game elements were always there. You can think of these as the essential ingredients. You need clear rules and goals, you need some kind of conflict or challenge, and you absolutely need a system for assessment and feedback. And it's this simple loop that's basically the psychological engine driving everything. The kids know what they need to do, they face a fun challenge to do it, and they get immediate feedback on how they did. It's an incredibly powerful combination for building motivation and, just as importantly, for keeping it going. So let's zoom out for a second. What does all this mean for the big picture? I mean, this isn't just about a few cool apps. This could be a real shift in how we approach public health for our youngest generation, empowering them directly, in a digital world they already live in and understand. The main takeaway from all this research is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. When it's designed with care, when it's based on how our brains actually work, technology isn't something we have to fear. It can be one of the most powerful and scalable tools we have to help our kids lead healthier lives. Now, of course, the science is still growing. Researchers are quick to point out that the next generation of these apps needs to focus even more on fostering a child's genuine, intrinsic motivation, that deep-down desire to be healthy, not just relying on external rewards like points. And as we said, tracking those long-term health outcomes is going to be key. So ultimately, what this research really suggests is that we need to reframe the entire conversation we're having. Maybe the question isn't about fighting this losing battle of more versus less screen time. Maybe the real goal is to demand and to create better screen time. And that leaves us with one final thought. Are we ready to start playing for our health?